Hello everyone, this is Rick and welcome to Astral Club. This is Astral Reincarnation and Karma. Before we get into it, just want to mention Patreon. If you'd like to support the work of Astral Club on Patreon, you can do so. When you join, you get advanced episodes on Sunday, a library of downloaded episodes for your podcast app, a Patreon email where we can talk back and forth, and a brand new chat for patrons on Patreon. If you're interested, there is a link in the description. Next up, private lessons. If you'd like a lesson to learn how to astral project or just to improve your current ability, be glad to work with you. If you're interested, you'll find an email in the description. Just send a request for more information. Okay. Now, this episode is actually made up of 3 different comments/questions that I got from a recent video. And, let's face it, reincarnation and karma and all the rest of that, it's a popular topic, and it also revs some people up. Some people, even get angry, like I'm the one who's in charge. But obviously I'm not. I'm just some guy who has seen a few things and is just trying to pass on that information. The first part of this this program, I want to mention Kev Changu, who's one of our long-term listeners and questioners. He had a question about bad karma, even though he didn't mention that. He wanted to know that if, I think his example was, look, what if I have to defend myself and somebody attacks me and I end up shooting them in self-defense? Am I going to be stuck with them in some sort of karma loop? Or what's that all about, okay? And then, of course, we can talk about the good end of things, which we'll get into in a minute. Like what if you like people and you love people, and how does that whole thing work? And from a karma standpoint, from a what happens standpoint. And keep in mind that everything that we're talking about here is based on my personal experience. Your mileage may vary. I do not claim to be the guru of the universe here. Okay, I am seeing a small, teeny slice of reality, and I'm passing that knowledge on to you. That does not mean that I know everything. I don't. There's a lot of things I don't know. And so perhaps your beliefs are a lot closer to the truth than mine are. However, all I can share is what I've observed. And based on that, take it with a grain of salt. Take it for what it's worth. My goal is not to change anybody's religion. If it's working for you, fine. That's not my business. I'm just trying to spread what little information I've been able to glean, and hopefully, you can add it to your overall information, and maybe you can come up with a better theory. At any rate, to answer Kev Changu's question, not necessarily. You don't necessarily form a karmic bond with somebody under those circumstances. For instance, what forms bonds are emotions, strong emotions, whether they be violent, whether they be loving. If you absent-mindedly smash a fly, you don't establish karma with that particular fly, or the fly species for that matter. It wasn't personal from your standpoint. It just was annoying and germ-laden, and it was in your space. You weren't in its space, it's in yours. And so you decided to take action. So now that's just kind of a funny type of an example. We can look a little bit more at Kev Changu's actual example. First of all, obviously, killing anyone is always a suboptimal solution. But we recognize in society that there are times when you are permitted, if you so choose, to defend yourself against against an attacker who who you believe can inflict serious, life-threatening, or indeed someone who could, what's you two want me to say, unalive you altogether. So, in the astral, things aren't that much different. I mean, I would say you would definitely review the instant in your life review after you pass on. However, a lot more depends upon your reaction to what happened, not so much the other individual in this case. Do you forgive yourself for what you had to do? If you do, then there's no connection. If you don't, then there might be some connection in the future. Now, I'm not going to get into every single instance of well, this person did that and this person did this, and so who gets to have the karma, who doesn't? Look, there's obviously a lot of intricacies here, but the clear principle is emotional attachment. Now, let's look at it from a positive standpoint. We can have positive karma with people. And in this case, it's people who we love, who we have done many good things for, who have done many good things for us. We love them. We would like to meet them again. And we hope that we can certainly do that in the future. So what's holding you together? Well, you've got an emotional bond. In this case, it's a positive emotional bond. Picture strings going out from you, connecting you to a bunch of other people, and connecting them to a bunch of other people. You can picture that as positive karmic bonds. I've said before that we travel in classes when we incarnate. Quite often we end up incarnating with many of the same people over and over again. Your son in last lifetime might be your father in this lifetime. So hope that you were a good father and that you raised a good son, because now the shoe's going to be on the other foot. So the one question that kind of upset me a little bit was by an individual who said, after listening to my last video about, I think it was the morning one, and he said you could tell he was upset, and he said, "Does that mean I won't get to see my loved ones again?" Now, there is very many deeply held religious beliefs on this subject. I mean, for instance, in mainline Christianity, and certainly in the extreme right, there's a thought, and I don't know that it's ever been completely worked out plainly in the Bible, but the thought is this, and since I was raised as a Christian, I was raised with this as well. Whether it came out of the Bible or whether it was a culture, what it was that when you died, you would join your loved ones in heaven, and that you would then dwell there doing something for all eternity. Over the years, I've asked people who have that belief, and I'm not looking to make fun of them or anything. I'm genuinely curious. I like to ask them, okay, but what are you going to do throughout all eternity now? Like, what are you going to do in heaven? Well, I mean, one person said, well, you sing hymns, and songs and praise God. And I said, okay, maybe that's good for the first 1,000 years, but wouldn't that get old after a while? I mean, it would seem to me that it would get old after a while. Well, it seems like the whole Christian idea of heaven is this place where you're done, where now you just get rewarded through all eternity. You don't have to do anything other than perhaps some singing. And you don't have to, I guess, improve yourself anymore because you passed. So now you chill on a cloud or, do whatever you want to do with your loved ones for all eternity. And of course, the other side of that coin is if you didn't pass, then you get to burn in everlasting flames and be tortured for all eternity, which seems even stranger to me, quite frankly. Now, if that belief system works for you, then go with it. I mean, like I said, I'm not here to pop anybody's balloon, nor am I here to say that I'm the expert on the universe. I can only report what little I have observed. And what I've observed is when people pass over, sometimes they have to get healing if it was a long disease and it wore them down. And then they review their life, okay? Where they went wrong, where they went right, if they're prepared to go on to the higher astral and then onto the mental plane, or are they going to reincarnate on Earth? Okay, if it's on Earth, during what time period? If you want to be really adventurous and be part of that 1/10 of 1% perhaps that decides to check out a lifetime somewhere else on another planet, well, you can always do that. But from my experience and everything I've been told is that the physical body is mortal, as is the astral body. And the astral body starts to decay the minute the energy or the astral cord is disconnected from the physical. So the astral body is mortal, and it can last, depending on the individual and how dynamic they were and a number of factors, it can last 100 or more years. But it's not immortal. Sooner or later, you've got to do something. And to me, it's always made sense. I mean, in what universe do you just want to do nothing throughout all eternity? To me, it's like an episode I've seen before where this guy was a gambler in the Twilight Zone, and he went and he won, and he was really happy, and then something happened to him. The next thing he knew, he had passed over, and he was in heaven now. And of course, his version of heaven was a casino. So the angel, in parentheses or in quotes, took him to a casino. And he did the slot machine and he won big. And he played again and he won big. And he played again and he won big. And then he suddenly realized, this isn't heaven, is it? And then, of course, the angel said, I never said that it was. Okay, so the thing is that there's a lot of different possibilities out there for souls. But the key factor in the universe is perfection. You want to constantly improve yourself. When you're here on Earth, don't you want to learn something new every day? Do you really want to vegetate? Would you like to learn a new skill? When you pass on, aren't you interested in learning new things to improve yourself, to improve your abilities, your spirituality? I mean, it stands to reason that that's the way the universe works, and that it makes no sense based on what I've observed and what I've seen, and certainly what I think, that you would have one lifetime and then you would just chill for the rest of eternity. I'm sorry, people would rebel. They would get bored. It's like nobody wants to read the same book over and over and over again for all eternity. You know, that's just not the way things work. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think some of these simple versions of heaven came from the Middle Ages, also came from the early Christianity, because the early Christians were very much put upon. They were abused, filthy things were said about them, they were poor, and certainly as we got into the early Middle Ages and the Middle Ages, most of the people who existed on the edge. Okay, they grew just enough food to survive, and let's hope the bandits and the government, or the Lord, and the bad weather doesn't take away our food, or else we're going to starve to death. So, and the order of the day was work, 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 work. So, the idea that someday soon you'll be able to lay down your labors and take it easy. I mean, do you realize how cool that would sound to someone who's only known hard labor every day of their lives? They don't get weekends off. They don't get 2-week paid vacations. It's just work, 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 usually in filthy, tough, physically demanding jobs, living short, brutish lives, especially as the Roman Empire fell and we started going into the early Middle Ages. So it would seem to me that a message, a simple message, not of spiritual attainment, a simple message of, look, just be a good person, serve your Lord, serve the church, and you get to chill for all eternity. That's a pretty powerful message to somebody whose back has been bent over with labor. Anyway, that's enough on this topic. It's enough of my preaching. Once again, your mileage may vary. I'm just one guy who just has one set of information. Maybe I'm wrong. It won't be the first. It probably won't be the last time. At any rate, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.